What's going on, y'all? I'm kind of disappointed because I just did a bomb ass review for this already, and I went to go do the playback, and the mouth was not syncing up with the words, and I hate when it does that. But anyway, Scandal is back. How to Get Away with Murder is back. Hell, even Grey's Anatomy. Like, listen, something always happened to Meredith on Grey's Anatomy. It's like every other season something happened. Maybe every 3 seasons something happened to Meredith. Okay, but we know she ain't gonna die or get kicked off the show because once that happens, the show gonna be over because it's called Grey's Anatomy. All right. But the thing that got me last night on last night's episode was when they popped her jaw open. No, ma'am. No, I don't care if I'm bleeding internally. I don't care if I need this assistant right now. You're gonna put me under, okay? That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna give me some medicine. You're gonna numb me up. Cause if you make me feel that pain even more than what I'm already feeling, I'm gonna beat your ass when I come up out of it. I'm just saying, save my life so I can whoop your ass afterward. But anyway, that was that. So let's get into Scandal. Scandal was an okay episode. It was good. It was good, especially towards the end, child. Uh, let's get the stupid shit out the way. Well, let's get the small stuff out the way. Abby has now became Fitz's new little work wife, okay, and she didn't even ask for this position. This the show takes place 6 months after Fitz and Olivia then messed up and broke up and all that stuff. Olivia's image has completely did a 180. You know, first she was the one with the white hat that everybody wanted to be around and wanted to get to help do her services and get them off and all this shit. Then all of a sudden she became known as the White House whore, the country's whore, a slut and all this stuff. And ever since she did that interview last, at the end of the winter finale, the first half of the season, her image has changed again. Now people love her, embracing her. She was at dinner with Papa Pope. Child, I was like, since when y'all hoes back on good terms? Okay, they sitting there like they daddy and daughters forever. And I'm sitting here like, didn't y'all just try to kill each other a couple of seasons ago? I mean, she did get him out, out of jail and stuff. So I guess. And you got these two ladies that are eating, one with her back to Olivia and she got her cell phone up trying to sneak and take a picture. The other lady that can actually see her mouthing the words, "We love you" and all this stuff. Daddy Pope was like, look at you. You all celebrity out and everything. Now go ahead and enjoy it because listen, you was the one that was actually running the ship over there at the White House and you let that shit go. But I mean, it's understandable. She was like, I know. But let me tell you something. Go ahead and say what you want to say. I told you so and all that stuff. She just said it made her feel like she was in a prison the way that, Fitz was acting and making her like his possession and stuff like that, and that wasn't her. He was like, you know what? We need to do this often. You need to come by the house more and all this stuff. She said, nigga, now you know I ain't finna come over. I ain't finna come over there. Mm, okay. I ain't finna come over there. Jake over there. Okay. So what is he doing over there? It was like Jake came home, okay? He came home, he know what it is. And I was like, all right. Meanwhile, Jake is outside her hotel door, outside her door. And they going back and forth like they ain't finna do nothing, like they hate each other. And next thing you know, they get down. And I'm sitting here like, damn, Olivia, you ain't even 5 minutes into the episode and y'all already doing something with somebody. That pushback need a break, okay? Need a break. I mean, she slid down that wall so easily to be eye level with Jake Jr. I said, please don't pull it out and suck it right here. Don't do that. I said, Shonda, what are you doing? It's too much, all right? So they still having a little tryst with each other, all right? In the meantime, Abby, like I said, became Fitz's work wife, okay? He keeps calling her at night or early morning, like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, while she dead ass sleep to talk about stuff because he don't have Olivia there. Cyrus not really on the inside no more, and it's now all on Abby. Abby is getting over it. She is tired of it. You know, Cyrus calling Olivia like, can she handle it? Olivia's like, yeah, she can handle it, all that stuff, yada, yada, yada. Abby sit down with Olivia telling her what's going on, and, you know, she was like, well, this is a good thing. Now you're on the inside, now you like in the circle, whatever. She was like, I know, but damn, he needs some shit. She was like, well, he don't have nobody. You're all that he have because he don't have me. And, therefore, you all that he got right about now. And she was like, damn, I didn't even think about it that way. Because that was basically it. You know, and she was like, why don't you call him? You scared that if you call him, talking to Olivia, that he's gonna, you know, you're gonna fall back into the same trap or whatever. That's basically that he's gonna actually answer the phone and y'all just gonna fall back in the same pattern and all that stuff. Because I was just sitting here waiting for Abby to just cuss Fitz out, and she gave it to him at the end. And I said, "Thank you, Abby. Thank you." But all of this comes together, and the reason why she was talking about some, you know, scared to call him because they was talking about what was going on in their life. So Olivia Pope's an associate has a new case, all right, and it's the head of an NSA, all right? She's this woman named Diane. She had made all these accomplishments early on in her career, and I think she was the first woman to be the head of the NSA, and she was put in that position by, you know, Fitz administration anyway. And so basically what was going on was somebody hacked into her system and was copying all of her files, and the main file that they was looking at was this file called Project Mercury. Project Mercury is this thing that's going on where the United States has tapped into all foreign affair people, foreign leaders stuff, you know, and if that gets out, it's going to cause a whole bunch of bullshit, okay? It's going to cause some mess, and we're going to be looked at as a target. You know, that's what it is. So it is very important to stop and to find whoever did this. Now, they think that it was Diane's boyfriend, Billy. He's the head of their software computer company or whatever. He's an engineer. And she like, no, I vetted him. I seen what it is. He's not the one that did it. And they was like, girl, you got to open up your eyes and realize that this is what's going on. She was like, you know, if it do come out, they was like, I understand how come she don't want to go ahead and accuse him, because if she accuse him and come to find out that he's not the one that did it, it's going to be like mess up their relationship. But if she accused him and he comes out to have done it, she's gonna get fired. You know, she's gonna lose her job and all that stuff. And they already finna put her under investigation because of the whole thing. They have not heard from Billy in 18 hours, and the whole thing that they're trying to find out is whether or not Billy is a whistleblower or if he's a spy. Now, Abby was given a little press conference or whatever, had all the newspaper organization and all them there. This one guy from the Washington Post comes up and was like, so you're not just gonna you just gonna keep on not answering, let me ask questions. I can't do my job if you do this. She was like, girl, you shouldn't have put that article out there about the president. He was like, what can I do, you know, to make up for it? She was like, retract it. He was like, no, but I can tell you about something that's going on. Like, somebody came to us about something about a Project Mercury, and then it was like, do you know about that? Abby was like, that ain't even nothing. We already know about that. We shut that shit down. Abby did know about it. Abby runs it, was like, give me everything on Project Mercury, okay? She goes back and tell Fitz what's going on. Fitz calls in Jake to find this Billy dude. I said, look at the side dude and the semi-side dude all together. I said, what is with this going on? Like, come on. All right. You know, it just confused me. But, you know, hey, he said that you're the only one that I can trust. And I was like, really? Me and Jake said, okay. So after that, um, what wound up happening? Oh my God. Oh my God. So they trying to find, they talking, Olivia sitting down talking to Diane. And this conversation, it really touched home because Diane said, you know, if Billy really did this, it's going to make me look bad in a sense of this, because I am a woman. All right. And if I get my position taken away from me, it's gonna be years before they appoint another woman as the head of the NSA. They already look at us as we're these emotional, sensitive creatures, and we lead with our hearts and not our mind. I just don't, if this is what happened, I deserve to lose my job, but I don't want it to be at the heads of our sex. And I said, girl, I understand, because that's exactly what that was going to happen. All right. She was like, just talk to Fitz and, see what he can do. So Olivia finally builds up the mustard and the courage to go ahead and call Fitz. Child, Fitz didn't even answer the phone. I thought he was going to jump at the opportunity when his secretary told him that Olivia was on the phone. He said he wasn't available. I said, damn, okay. But by this time, they got some little clue or whatever that Billy may be at this house. They go to the house. Billy wasn't there, but Jake was there. Jake was there on behalf of the president. Olivia and them was there on behalf of Diane. They going back and forth at it and all this shit. Next thing you know, um, they see who Diane was talking to, what's her name, Olivia again, trying to see who what was happening. Did the president say that I can come and talk to him or whatever? Can you get me in? She was like, he wasn't, helpful and all that stuff. She was like, at least give me the name of the person that they gonna replace me with. And she was like, girl, I don't even know. Like, and she was like, I know it's a man already, but who is it? It's one of his cronies. Oh, obviously you in the dark about stuff too. And then come to find out it was fucking Jake. And we was all sitting here like, girl, what? Girl, what? We did not see that coming. Olivia went over there to Papa Pope house to sit down there with Jake and was like, why the fuck would you do this? Because they went back to that house. They opened up the refrigerator and Billy's body come rolling on out. I said, ain't this about a bitch? This is some crazy shit. So he killed this man to get that lady out that position so that he can get into the position, because according to the Papa Pope, if the world would be better in better hands with Jake and all this stuff. I'm like, look, y'all just got your relationship on point, okay? You just got the relationship on point. Now you finna fuck this shit up. Now we finna move on to this small part. Millie came into the office early in the episode talking about something. She finna write this book. She wants Olivia to read it and all this stuff. Olivia was like, girl, I don't have time. I'm not finna work with you. I'm not finna work for you. She was like, just read it and tell me what you think, and left the fuck out. Child, when she came back, Olivia read her to pieces. Like, girl, the book is okay. It's boring or whatever. You need to rewrite this shit. If you really want to make an impact, if you really want to be talking like you want to run for president and all this stuff, you got to make this shit personal, right? You got to make this shit pop. All right, that's what you got to do. Okay, because this gonna be a national. If you keep this, it's gonna be a national bestseller. Yeah, for about a week. Okay, everybody gonna be using it as props and door openers and all that stuff. And then it's gonna be forgotten about. You need to dig deep and get the shit for real, for real. Now, if you're willing to do that, bring your ass back here on Tuesday and I'll help your ass. And she was like, cool, that's what we're doing. I said, so now Millie and Olivia finna look. I said, I can't with this. I can't with this. Y'all tell me how y'all think this gonna go. All right, this is just crazy. But that was Scandal, y'all. Child, How to Get Away with Murder was something serious. Okay, I'm sitting here. I literally had to watch this twice. Like, Shonda make you have to watch stuff twice, because I was like, wait a minute, because I didn't catch something at first because I wasn't paying attention. But basically, y'all know last season, at the end of last season, Wes had I was about to say killed, had shot Annalise in the stomach. Okay, um, all because Annalise was basically trying to provoke him with the truth, and they don't know whether or not Annalise was telling the truth or not when she said that, Rebecca was dead. And I was like, damn, like, what type of person do you got to be where people still don't know whether or not you're telling the truth when you're telling the truth? Okay, so back at the house at the mansion or whatever. This is 2 weeks later. Well, 2 weeks earlier. Wes still got the gun, and when Laura came in, of course, she was already there. She saw what happened, and Michaela comes in. Okay, Michaela comes in like, oh my God, what happened? What did you do? She had took the gun. Laura had took the gun from Wes and basically pinned it all on herself and said that, she was like, I was trying to aim for the leg, but I never shot anybody, so chill out. West took the gun, talking about something, I'm throw it in the pool like we said. Come to find out, West didn't take that gun and throw it in the pool. West took that gun and he kept it. All right. I don't know whether or not West is having suicidal thoughts or, that's what they made it seem like, because towards the end, he found some pills and he was laying up in Annalise's bed and we sitting here like, wait a minute, did he take the pills? But obviously he didn't. But let me backtrack. So Annalise finally come home 2 weeks later after being in the hospital. She got Bonnie. Bonnie telling her how much medicine she's supposed to take and all this shit. Bad idea. And this is why I don't ever I don't like take medication at all. All right? Unless I necessarily absolutely have to. Okay? And Annalise just showed us why I don't like to take these medications. When I had messed up my leg, I was on hydrocodone, okay? And that shit made me drowsy as fuck and I was gone, okay? I just was knocked out and didn't even realize that I had fell asleep or whatever. I don't like that feeling, okay? But Annalise was hallucinating like a motherfucker in this episode. All right. Everybody is over at I guess Frank's house or somebody's place, and they talking about what's going on. Laurel trying to get Wes out of his funk. Wes is depressed. Wes is depressed because he was just told that his girlfriend that he's been looking for all this time is dead. He shot Annalise. Annalise talking about Christoph, and we sit here because the hashtag for this episode was who was Christoph. Okay, during the first half of the season, when she said it, a lot of people thought it was his mother. Not his mother, okay? And I'm gonna get to it in a second. Um, what wound up happening, right? So Laura finally gets him out the house and comes over to, conversate with everybody else. Asher going through his stuff. He's in his feeling because, remember when they set it up to make it seem like Asher was going to the police station to snitch on all of them? He literally went there to make a statement about his father's supposed suicide. He don't believe that it was suicide, okay? And he's in his feelings because he has not heard anything back from the cops or anything. Bonnie trying to soothe him over and all this stuff. um Annalise is supposed to be testifying against Catherine on the stand, saying that Catherine is the one that shot her or whatever, because remember, Catherine didn't do nothing. All right, the only thing that Catherine did at this moment in time that we know for sure, it was being cool with Philip. Philip played her. Okay, we don't know, or we're not gonna assume that she killed her parents. We all going on the assumption that Philip did. So remember when what's his name? Frank, aka Jadina, he drugged her and put her in the forest. That's where they found her at, and all this drugging and stuff was for a purpose. And I was like, oh, I see how all this stuff comes back into play. So after they did that, Annalise was at her house. Child, she took 2 of these pills at the same time, and I was like, something ain't right. Girl, she was on that couch. Nah, I was like, damn, you in a deep ass shit. Somebody come bamming at the door. No, 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 no. And I was like, who the fuck is that at the door? Ring the doorbell, bitch. All right. But if you bamming on the door like that, you probably would have played the hell out the doorbell. She opened up the door. It's this lady, this black lady. I don't know what she was, probably Haitian or something, and she had an accent or whatever. She had this baby. She was like, oh my God, I sent you on TV. He needs you. I need you to take care of this baby. I need you to take care. She was like, girl, what? I don't know. I can't take care of no baby. And I'm sitting here like, Annalise, close the door. Okay? Close the door. No, Annalise reaches out her arms and take the baby. And she on the porch, I'm like, I can't take the baby. I'm sitting here like, bitch, you could have just closed the door. I'm just saying, everybody else would have just closed the door. And what wound up happening after that, Bonnie gets called, Annalise called Bonnie. Bonnie gets there and she was like, I just got it to shut up. Girl, she just kept on calling the baby. It was a little boy. It this, it that, go lay it down, put this in. And then when she walks away, we see that Bonnie is holding something, but it's not a baby, it's a sweater. I said, this bitch is out here hallucinating like a motherfucker. So Bonnie telling them what's going on, and it's like, how is she gonna get up on the stand and you know give this statement, and she's hallucinating like hell. She gets Frank to bring that medicine out of that medicine to drug fucking Annalise. She put it in some ice cream while she was up in there trying to make this statement or whatever. Annalise was dogging the fuck out that ice cream. I couldn't, because I just don't like it like that. But she was just, and I was like, damn, bitch, slow up. But after that, the rest of the people, they're at the house and they writing and putting together this fake statement, for Annalise. And Bonnie had to tell the attorney dude that she ain't gonna be able to make it because she's on these mind altering drugs. She's hallucinating and all this stuff. And it's up to him to get the statement admitted in court and all this stuff. So they trying to get this done. Asher, he's all in his feelings. We got Asher in his feelings. He's depressed, but he's still getting up and he's still working. Okay, his daddy is dead. He done ran over Sinclair. She dead, and he just going through all that. He got all that on his heart, and what his mama told him about. If it wasn't for you, he wouldn't have did this and all this shit. So he got all that on his heart, and the way that he's dealing with it is drinking. Okay, he has this little thing where he was over at Oliver and Connor's place, and they was trying to get him out the funk or whatever. Wes, his Laurel is looking at the West, mostly because when we go back a week earlier, Laurel goes and visits Annalise in the hospital. Annalise was like, "Why did you tell them that you did it?" And she just, I don't know what was the reason why she said, but Annalise told her to keep an eye out on Wes, okay? And they got some little connection or whatever going on right about now. And so Laurel been doing that. Laura's really, really concerned about Wes and trying to get him out the house because he's depressed as fuck about everything. And so it comes time for the case or whatever. They go to court. Of course, Michaela was in her feelings because ain't nobody invite her over to do nothing with nobody. And Caleb, Catherine's brother, runs into her. And he's in his feelings because they was like, you going to blame all this on her. And you was supposed to protect her and all this stuff. And you was going to do this. And you said you was going to do that. She was like, I did. Okay. But the fact of the matter is, Catherine did shoot Annalise. And I was like, oh, y'all going to play this lie out to the end, ain't y'all? They get to court. They try to submit the letter, the statement that they typed up for Annalise. And the judge was like, we can't. She got to be here. She got to be here, or she's just gonna be over with. At all of a sudden, when they was just about to go ahead and just say, I dismiss or mistrial or whatever, all charges are dismissed or whatever, Annalise comes in out of nowhere. She was like, I'm here, Your Honor, and I'm able to do what I gotta do, because Bonnie had to tell her, girl, let me tell you something, it was no baby. You was hallucinating. She told Bonnie to throw them pills in the garbage can. And so she comes in there, she gets on the stand. She was going fine at first, recounting everything that was happening or whatever. Then all of a sudden she looked down. She just started going in and out of it. And they was like, did you see this? And was it Catherine there? And she was like, you know what? I'm going to need a reset. She go in the bathroom. Baby is bleeding through her bandages and stuff. She get back on the stand. And at this moment in time, I'm still not really sure whether or not I understand that her bandages, I was like, can't y'all see that she in pain? But it's Annalise. So I'm like, maybe she really is still hallucinating or, feeling some type of way. But could it be that she's doing this on purpose? Okay? Because next thing you know, she goes in and out saying, I don't know what happened after, I got shot. I didn't see anything. But I thought you said that you saw Catherine. No, Catherine, she did it. No, Catherine didn't shoot nobody. She didn't do it. They was like, what? And then everybody was like, the Catherine lawyer was getting all happy, like, see, she lying and all this stuff. And then Annalise was like, no, I'm not talking about her shooting me. She shot me, okay? She was clearly under the influence of something. Most likely Philip slipped her something. I seen it in her eyes. Her eyes was dilated, whatever. But what I'm saying is she didn't kill the parents, all right? She didn't kill them parents. And then Michaela was like, oh my God, she just gave her a privilege or whatever. You're not supposed to talk about information that happened with another case or whatever, some shit like that, and she violated that. So therefore, it caused the charges to get dismissed against, well, that whole trial to get dismissed, I guess, against Catherine. And so at the end of that, Caleb gets into the car with Annalise, and he was like, "I hope you don't think I'm here to help. Thank you." She was like, "Girl, let me tell you what I just did. Me being on that stand, I just made it so that Catherine won't go to jail for the rest of her life for something that, you know, for killing y'all parents. Okay, what you need to do is tell that girl that, you know, she was drugged, and Philip is the one that really killed the parents, and Philip is the one that drugged her, and she really did shoot me and all this stuff." So Caleb go back and tell her that, and convince Catherine that she did this. And when they was finna go back to the trial, and they was finna give the judgment about whether or not they had enough evidence to charge her with something, Catherine stood up and was like, "You know what? I want to tell you that I did, you know, shoot Annalise, but I obviously was under the influence, and, you know, I apologize." So they gave her like 5 years or some shit like that. I'm sitting here like, look at this manipulative ass bitch. Annalise is bleeding through her bandages and still manipulating the shit out of y'all. Okay? The whole damn thing. Bonnie outside trying to talk to her, and she like, "Girl, get away from me." She said, Bonnie said, "I know what's going on." She was like, "The baby thing was nothing." She was like, "No, I ain't even talking about that. That night when you wanted me to go, talking about when she got shot at the house or whatever, and she said you wanted me to leave that gun because you thought about killing your own self." And I said, "Whoa." She was like, "But you wanted me dead anyway, so it don't matter." And I was like, "Oh." So they had this little back-to-back banter, crying session, and all this stuff. And, you know, Annalise drove off, went to the hospital. She gets back home, and West. Well, before she gets home, we see this shit with West just going through all her stuff, just going through all her files and stuff, and he see those pills. Okay. Then it cuts to Laurel trying to get in contact with West. You know, she can't get in contact with him. And Frank like, what is it about him and all this stuff? And then next thing you know, Laurel breaks down and was saying how she's still feeling bad over the fact that, you know, Asher was going through all of this stuff and nobody had his number to call him. And she feeling bad about that, which was pretty fucked up, if you ask me. So Annalise getting home, I think she was asleep or whatever, and she hears this knocking. She's not supposed to go upstairs because her you know, not too much stress and strenuous activities and walking up the steps, that'd be too much for her because she just got shot in the stomach. Okay, she's still trying to heal. She hear this noise, this rattling and all that stuff, and she finally climbs up the steps. And when she finally gets there, she sees Wes laying in her bed. She thought he was, you know, committed suicide or whatever. Turn him over. He was still there. And basically, he was like, "I can understand why my mama did it. She just wanted everything to stop," talking about why she committed suicide. And I was like, "Oh shit." He was like, "So let me tell you this. I want to know everything that's going on. Okay, what is it about me? Because obviously you knew me. That's the reason why I got off a wait list. That's the reason why you act the way that you act towards me. You called me Christoph. You kept saying Christoph." And I was sitting here like, "Oh shit." So they do a flashback. 10 years earlier, we see Lil West playing in the blue shirt. That was West for those that did not understand. And we see that black lady that was in the beginning with the baby. She's sitting there doing some little knitting or whatever. Here comes Annalise with her Patra braids in her hair. "I want a romantic car, pull up to my bumper, baby." That's what I just really wanted her to just buzz out and start saying. But she sits down and baby, Annalise looked like she at least 8 months pregnant. Okay, I said, "What? Bitch, I thought she was barren." Okay, but we gonna get on that in a second. So she sit down. The lady was like, "How you doing?" He was like, "You got a little boy? You got a boy?" Cause she was like, "Yeah, you know, okay, cause you carrying low." So it was like, "That's mine's right there. You know, he just a handful sometimes." And so remember, the mama killed herself. Something happened. He was talking to the investigator. Remember, in the winter finale or whatever. I'm thinking because the lady had said that her name is Rose, not Christoph. I'm thinking that West's original name was Christoph, and something happened that he saw something that he probably shouldn't have seen or whatever in connection with Annalise or whatever, that his name got changed to West. That's what I'm thinking, okay? But we know that Annalise, we cleared up the mystery. As I've been saying, Annalise is not West's mother. But the whole thing, I guess, going to be for the second half is where is the other baby? Where is the baby that Annalise had? because Annalise was still hallucinating about the baby at the end of the episode. She twirling around in the she twirling around the house with a baby that ain't even out. She hugging herself. So my thing is, I think that either the baby got put up for adoption or something happened to it. I don't know. But y'all, what's y'all theories on it? The whole question for me this whole season, well, the rest of this season is where the baby at? Because we know it ain't West. But that was the episode. Y'all tell me how y'all feel about it, and I will see you guys later. Peace.